what do you guys think? Tiny Epic Zombies.
I like this a lot. I've liked all of the Tiny Epics. It's not as hard as Dungeons, which is great, because we could never beat that. And nobody has ever beaten that.
What, the 5-minute dungeons?
Yeah, no, Tiny Epic Dungeon.
Tiny Epic Dungeon is a co-op dungeon crawler from these guys.
Yeah, I like this. This might be my. I don't want to say it's my favorite one because I've played a bunch of them and I've only ever played them once, but I like this one a lot.
I will say that this is both my favorite and least favorite because it's the only Tiny Epic I've played.
I like the design elements. When we started, I was kind of indifferent about the room structure and everything like that. I'm looking at it and it's like, it's not that clear to me what the aesthetic of each of the places is, but I've also not really gotten to examine them, right?
Yeah.
And as we went along, though, I definitely started to appreciate the game design factor of the different benefits of being in the different rooms in the different stores.
I think that's what they do really well with this series of games, because every one of their games is wildly different, but they do a good job of like fitting a very complicated game in very tiny packaging.
Yeah, this is the box.
It's small. It
all fits in there.
It's a little guy.
And they put big games in tiny packages.
It's
what
pretty
they do.
cool too, the different like aesthetic that you get for each character if you do the card cam. Like when you have their normal version and then their zombified version. I think that's also pretty cool.
That was David's character, but if he had died, then Dustin would have had these abilities added to his arsenal.
And the art looks slick.
Yeah.
Like at least on the big cards, you know. I
like that you have a turn after every one of our turns, but your turns are very minimal. But I think that's such a fun design because a lot of times when one versus all games, if they don't do that, it feels so just boring waiting half an hour to do something.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you borderline have to like OP the one verse, you know?
Right? Yeah,
because they have to do so much.
Yeah,
after in response to 4 people's plays, but doing it in smaller increments like that or more frequent instances, I think that's pretty rad.
It's well executed. I don't know if I'd say it's my favorite Tiny Epic because I really loved Dungeons.
I love it too. It's impossible.
It is very hard.
Nobody's ever beaten it. Not the designers.
But I really loved that. I'm jonesing to play it again. This is a good one though. And I'm curious. So Dustin, there are other game modes for this.
Yes, there's 4-player cooperative, 4-player competitive. Competitive is just the survivors are competing to complete an objective first.
So that's
just one objective?
Why the colored
I believe they each got an objective they're trying to complete or something.
Oh, okay.
And the first one to complete it wins.
Okay.
There is...
Is there a version where that's mixed in to the one versus all?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you guys are working as a team kind of to like thwart me off, but you're also working against each other to try to complete your own objectives. Before the other person does.
Oh. Jeepers.
So that one would be interesting.
Like, that could be mechanically interesting. Thematically, I don't love that.
Well, yeah, it's
depending
of like...
I guess it depends on what the objectives are.
No, I like it thematically because a good zombie thing is always like people who are like, the world has ended, but I'm still selfish.
Yeah, I have my own to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's.
I think I'm gonna push this child in front of a horde of zombies to give myself 5 more minutes of life.
If your objective is to save the stranded, how is that competitive against other people?
They're your friends.
Yeah,
like your friends only, and the other people don't give a f***
You don't know
but
if
you're like, no, we're saving
cannibals.
Steve and Jerry.
We might be going after them, collecting them, rescuing them,
right?
To have a good bolognese.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah, I think that's all the modes.
Okay.
It's interesting. Like it feels like
the solo.
I like it. I enjoy it quite a lot. We've played a number of zombie horde fighting games. We recently did what is it? Zombicide Black Plague.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is just like, hey, those games, but a little smaller. Maybe
little bit easier mechanically.
Yeah, mechanically, but still, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I will say, on the scale of would my wife be open to playing this game, this is a no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too complex.
Most of their games are very complex.
Tiny Epic games are tend to be a little bit more on the
What I love,
moderate to crunchy.
What I love about them is you always bust them out, and I'm like, this is it. And then we start playing, and I forget that there's just 5 cards and 3 meeples. And the same with Tiny Epic Pirates when we played that. I was like, oh, it's just this, and I was like, oh no, the weather.
I also
Tiny
can't lie
Epic
though,
is a lot.
when you were doing the instructions, and this happens with so many games,
Yeah.
right? Is you're listening to the instructions and just a dark cloud rolls over your brain, so nothing can seep in. But the actual execution of the game, once you get started, you're like, it's like that slow
There's not
walk
that
into a
much
jog
to
into a sprint.
wade
It's
through once.
really
Yeah.
easy once you get there.
Yeah.
Especially because an individual player, it's you move 3 times. You
Yeah.
have to move 3 times, and you can interact with things if you're in a store without zombies. That's
it.
That's all
But
you need to know.
you can't make that the rules.
Yeah.
The rules actually have to, because how many times did we go back to the rule book to actually get clarification on things, right?
There weren't a ton of things that felt ambiguous
Yeah.
though.
And we are also
True.
min-maxing assholes who are always trying to squeeze every little advantage we can out of the system.
There weren't a ton of the only thing that was ambiguous was James's machete and his player ability combo.
Yeah.
Do they stack or don't they?
Yeah.
Which maybe that's in an FAQ somewhere, maybe it's not, but
I like the way we played it because we won.
I'm no Scott
Yeah.
Alms. Can you clarify that for us?
one thing that I noticed as we started moving around and playing, these cards tend to kind of slide a little bit.
Yeah.
And adjacency gets a little bit
I
ambiguous
think
on this weird little
it's-
map with these gaps.
Yeah.
Because there's spots where I'm like, I don't know, is this space adjacent to this space? Because that kind of depends on how far over this card is.
Yeah.
So
And I can't tell, because I feel like our mat, it wouldn't slide as much as maybe,
maybe
like
it wouldn't
a
slide as much on a dining room table.
Or it might slide
Or it might
I
more.
feel like it'd be,
Yeah.
if those are glossy on the other side, that's sliding more.
It's probably
on
gonna
the
slide
Yeah.
more, yeah. So that's one minor
So you
little
need to
gripe.
get some of that sticky tack that they used to have in 4th grade, and you just pull a little and you
Or you
stick
just
it down
deal with
and-
it, because you're
There you go.
paying very little for an incredibly complicated game. If
Like,
it's
these
an
are
entirely
all under
level.
$25 usually.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah.
How affordable these games are.
Yeah. How incredibly
print-
complicated they are. For
Yeah. Good stuff from Gamelyn Games. Tiny Epic Zombies.
Loved it.
Another Tiny Epic. Good stuff. Hey, thanks for hanging out. If you want to spend more time with us, do us a favor. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and most importantly, head on over to twitch.tv/BNB Tabletop and give us a follow there. We play board games live every Sunday night at 5 p.m. Pacific Time on a show we call The Board and Barrel. And we like to keep things interactive. You guys can influence what happens throughout the course of a game with our Buff and Nerf house rules. You can also make predictions on how things are going to pan out, play virtual bingo for a chance to win a free board game of your own, and heckle us and stuff from the chat. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you Sunday night.